Something is happening in the tech industry right now, and I don't think we're talking about it honestly. We're talking about AI, we're talking about efficiency, doing more with less. But there's something that we keep leaving off the list: the human being. I'm Brad, I work in tech, and I want to talk about what that actually means right now. I've been a part of some extraordinary teams in my career, and I've watched what makes them extraordinary get quietly dismantled, not out of malice, but out of misunderstanding. And I think it's happening everywhere right now, at scale, across the whole industry. And most of us are too scared or too tired to say it out loud. So here's what tech looks like right now. Companies are sprouting up and moving faster than they've ever moved. For those companies striving to compete in this changing landscape, you've got restructuring, reorganizing, reprioritizing at a pace that is genuinely hard to keep up with. And layered near the center of all of this is AI. AI that can write code, that can analyze data, that can generate entire product roadmaps in the time it used to take a team to schedule a meeting. And so the question keeps getting asked, explicitly in boardrooms, in earnings calls, and implicitly in every org chart change. What do we actually need humans for? Here's what I keep watching happen. Engineers get reorganized, teams get reshuffled, relationships that took years to build get dissolved, because on a spreadsheet, a person is a cost center, not a relationship. And the last thing anyone wants to ask is, what did we lose when those people stopped working together? I've been watching this pattern for a while now, and it's starting to worry me more and more. Not necessarily because of AI. AI is a tool, and tools in and of themselves aren't anxiety-inducing. I'm scared because I think we, as an industry, have overlooked something fundamental about how great software gets built, about how great anything gets built. Let me tell you about the best team I've ever been a part of. We were small, 3 engineers, including myself as both an IC and a manager, fully remote, which meant every single day we had to choose to connect, Nobody was walking past your desk, nobody was meeting at the coffee machine. So early on, when we were basically learning how to build software together from scratch, we would spend entire days on Zoom. Now, we weren't given any explicit directive to do this, but we figured out that the work was better when we were together. And I learned that we weren't even alone in this practice, It's actually called ensemble programming by others in the industry. One person at a keyboard, everyone else thinking out loud, arguing, catching each other's mistakes in real time, building on each other's ideas in ways that no one person could have done alone. It sounds inefficient. It was the most efficient thing I've ever been a part of. It's impossible to describe the myriad of ways in which we're able to learn from each other in a truly collected environment. Questions we might not have even thought to ask would rise to the surface plainly and would be answered through observations as often as direct call and response, Osmosis taught me more about contributing to and leading a team than any book or treatise ever has. Over 6 years, which in tech terms is an eternity, we built something very rare. I watched my teammates become parents. They watched me become one. We were in each other's lives for grief, for celebration, for the ordinary Tuesday afternoon conversations that didn't seem like much at the time, but became the connective tissue of the team. Together, we built the best software of my entire professional career, nearly 20 years at this point. And we weren't the most talented engineers in the world, but we truly cared about each other and about what we were building together. That's the differentiating factor in outcomes that can't show up on a chart or an analytics report, I think about that team the way I think about a pristine tree. We planted it together. We watered it every day. We learned its quirks, where the roots ran deep, where the branches were fragile, where you had to be careful not to pull the wrong thing. And over time, it became something mighty and beautiful, something that worked in the deepest sense of that word. And what I've come to understand is you cannot look at the tree from a distance and formalize a report to any investment group that truly communicates what made it grow and flourish. You can't see the years in it, the arguments resolved, the bad days pushed through, the moments someone stayed an extra hour because they cared, not because they were told to. That tree looks like functioning software with a 5-star customer satisfaction rating, but that tree is actually the relationship amongst those involved in its creation. Here's the part that keeps me up at night, though. AI is genuinely remarkable at certain things. It can formalize systems, generate code faster than any human, analyze massive data sets, and surface patterns we would never find on our own. But there is one thing AI cannot do. It cannot love. It can't care about the person sitting next to it in that hard moment. It can't notice that someone is struggling and know not from data, but from knowing them how to help. It cannot choose to stay. In thinking about those legacy systems, the complex, messy, decades-old code bases that actually run most of the world's critical infrastructure, AI is historically bad at those. Those systems are held together by institutional knowledge, by the kind of understanding that lives in a person who has touched that code for years, who knows which lines look absurd on paper but are absolutely critical, who knows that if you pull this one thread, something 3 services away will quietly explode. That knowledge doesn't live in documentation, it lives in relationships. And when you dissolve those relationships in the name of efficiency, you don't just lose teams. You lose the map. I've seen this happen, not once, multiple times across the industry. And every time it takes about 18 months before the full weight of what was lost even becomes visible. The tree has been harvested and companies aren't realizing that they're running out of forest, So where does that leave us? I've been sitting with this question for a while. As someone who works in this industry, as someone who manages other people in this industry, as someone who genuinely believes that the human being is the most powerful technology that has ever existed. And here's what I've decided. I'm not going to wait for the industry to figure this one out. I'm not going to wait for an org chart to tell me that relationships matter. I'm going to be the human in the room. I'm going to learn the people I work with the way that I learned that tree. Slowly, with patience, with the understanding that you cannot shortcut years of trust into a 30-minute onboarding call. I'm going to lean into every uncomfortable conversation, every moment where it would be easier to send a message than to actually talk to someone, every team meeting that could become a real moment of connection if someone is willing to make it one. Because I've seen what's possible when other people actually trust each other. I've lived it, and I refuse to believe it's a relic. I'm not here to tell you which companies survived the AI revolution. Honestly, I don't care. I made this video for the person who's been told their instinct to slow down, to actually see the person next to them is inefficient. That instinct is not a liability, it's the most human thing about you. Don't optimize it out. I made a video a while back where I said I prayed I wasn't alone in my fear about ChatGPT. And the response told me that I wasn't. So I am praying again. I pray I'm not the only human being left in tech who feels this way, who looks at the speed of everything happening around us and thinks we are losing something critical we cannot get back if we're not careful. I pray I'm not the only one who believes that the future we're building needs to be built by humans, with humans, for humans. I pray I'm not alone.